The Thinking Project with Rachel.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I love interviewing. Actually, surprisingly, the health and wellness coaches are the only ones I like to bring on. Any
Why?
other coaches, I don't really dig it.
Why is that?
Well, first of all, you're good, so this isn't anything about you. But or like life coaches,
Oh,
or
okay.
like sometimes there's like confidence coaches or stuff like that.
There's a coach for everything.
Yeah.
now.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you got to have like a business. Like if you have a business and you're a coach, like that's different.
Right.
Or if your business is like coaching and you're, I don't know. I've just seen so many like coaching has almost turned into like this MLM thing. Where
Yeah.
it's like,
I agree.
Like I coach coaches on coaching other coaches. I'm like, no, that's not.
You're like, okay, so you had one experience one time and now you're an expert.
Right, exactly. But like, no, like, but health and wellness, because it's easy to kind of see, like you have a degree, you've got things under your belt. And so you've got something to say, but like there's other people. So I'm really happy. And I've had a lot of them on, and health is always a really fun topic, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Because there's so much out there.
Yeah.
Like, what do you eat? What are you not supposed to eat?
It's all conflicting information too.
Yeah. So we're just going to get right out of the gate. We had some hot takes before this, but here's the first one. Obviously, there was a big buzz for a little while about keto.
Okay.
Break it down. How do you feel about it?
All right. Well, I think all nutrition is and should be an individual decision and an individual need. So everybody's body responds to something differently. I think there are some people who can do absolutely amazing with keto.
Yeah.
But it is something that's tough to do. And, carbs are everywhere, right? And so it's unsustainable for a lot of people. And I don't like it for that reason. Like, I could never cut out carbs for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
The joy in my life would be gone. So
Right,
it depends. But I do think like lower carb can be beneficial. And there's certain conditions where that's really important. But a lot of people just take keto as, okay, no carbs, all the fat. They don't think about what kind of fat. They don't think about their, vitamin and mineral intake. All of that just goes out the window. If it says keto on the label, they'll eat it, which I think is problematic.
Yeah. That's wild. Well, that's what I had a conversation with my friend. I was like, bro, you're not convincing me that bacon is healthier for you than an apple. Right? Because like apple's not keto, right? Or something like that.
The keto gurus will try to convince you that.
Come on. I go, stop it.
Right.
That's crazy. You said something interesting, just about, like the differences between, I guess kind of like what I thought of when you said it was like kind of like intuitive eating, like everybody's kind of different. You got to really figure out what your body needs and what it wants at that time. And then you said something, and this is actually what I want to talk about. You said like the different kinds of fat, because there's different kinds of fat and there's different kinds of sugar, right? Break it down.
Yeah, I mean, I think we really need to be more focused on the quality of our food and not just the macronutrient content. I think in the wellness world and the health and fitness world too, people get really caught up in macros, right? And that's really what their focus is on. And it's like, yeah, you can have a protein bar that has, great protein, low carb, whatever, this and that, but it has a billion different additives, artificial ingredients, things like that. So is that really healthier than something that has like a lot of carbs? There's a lot of debate with that.
We're gonna debate.
So you asked a question, types of fats, types of carbs, things like that. Carbs, I think, are a little bit more simple. So there's simple and complex carbs. We're going to just break it down very simply. Simple carbs are quickly broken down into sugars. They enter your bloodstream. This is what can be problematic for diabetics. And those in the pre-diabetic range too. It spikes your blood sugar levels. So those are things like white rice, white potatoes, bread, pasta, those types of things. Yeah. Your body just is really easily able to break it down into energy, which can be useful. That's why a lot of athletes will quote unquote carb load. And then there's complex carbs, which have higher fiber content, which makes your kind of slows your digestion down and the breakdown of those carbs. So that I think is a little bit more sustainable energy. So with a lot of my clients, I always recommend trying to find some swaps for some more complex carbs, things that have higher fiber, just so it's more sustained energy and you don't get the blood sugar spikes and the energy crashes that come with that.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, we hit kind of like a few topics right at the beginning because that's kind of what I like to do. But tell us a little bit about you. You mentioned earlier before we were recording, you're from Georgia. You went to college for this stuff. What made you want to get into like the health and wellness space?
Yeah, so in school, I studied psychology and I was really interested in that. But throughout my college years, I dealt with my own health issues, a lot of hormone imbalances, and doctors just really were not super helpful. They were just like, oh, take birth control, it'll fix your menstrual cycle, it'll fix your hormones. That newsflash, that's not true.
Right. Right.
But they were just not really helpful and didn't take my symptoms seriously. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm on my own. So I just dove into researching as much as I could to help myself. So it really started out as a very selfish pursuit. And then I studied through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition to get my health coaching certification. I really didn't expect it to be my job or my career. Again, it was really just more personal exploration, I think. But I was able to pretty much heal all of my symptoms, get my hormones back into balance. And it just was amazing to me with all the information that I gathered, what I was able to do with it. And then I got really frustrated with the fact that nobody gave me this information about my body, about my health, about nutrition. Like, we are human beings and we should understand how our bodies work so that we know what to give it when. And I was just really frustrated. And so that's kind of what sparked my passion to help get other people information and help them create healthy habits and find more natural or holistic approaches to their health, because those are much more sustainable than, just popping a pill and, hoping it works. Right.
Well, and I like what you said there about like just natural and holistic ways, because the way that I call it, like whenever I'm talking about mental health or like physical health, I like the term, like, don't take it off the menu. Like, I'm a menu guy, right? So like there's definitely Western medicine that helps a ton, and we shouldn't take it off the menu. But you would also be pretty naive to say that like changing what you put in your body won't have an effect on how it functions, right? So like, yeah, why wouldn't you figure out how to eat better, how to like, what you put in your body matters. And so, because I've just seen so many arguments about this where maybe not arguments, but like both sides of the fence. Like, you have people who are like, just go to the doctor every time. Like, that person's crazy. And then you have these guys who are like, Western medicine is trying to actively kill you. And I'm like, no, like, how about we just like
Let's
try
be in the middle.
Well, so my wife was having like thyroid stuff, hormone stuff. And I remember actually interviewing somebody on my podcast, and they were like, you should, tell your wife to go talk to this person. And I was like, so I called the lady, and she was like, it was like 3 months, and it was like maybe like $1,000 for 3 months or something like that. I don't know, something cheap. But and then I just remember thinking in my head, like, well, if it doesn't work, I lost $1,000. And if it doesn't work, I didn't lose anything, right? Like, we might have to eat something different for a little bit, and that's it. But it really helped her. Like, it really helped. Like, we still use all that stuff today, and then she kind of combines it with the medicine that she takes, and then eating good, and we can definitely tell a difference.
Yeah, I think I kind of was all over the place, with my journey. I was taught and I guess raised, go to the doctor when you're sick, right? And listen to the doctors, everything like that. And then when they weren't helping me, I got really angry about it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, never going to the doctor ever again. Natural and holistic everything, right? And then I kind of transitioned to finding that balance and finding functional medicine. So I'm a functional medicine based health coach, and a lot of people don't really know what functional medicine is. It's kind of a buzzword. We maybe say it and you hear about it, but a lot of times people don't explain what it means. And so just to sum it up, functional medicine is an alternative approach to healthcare where we're looking at the body as a whole to get to the root cause of symptoms.
Right.
And we do that through lab testing often. And so that was a crucial piece that I was missing in my journey too, is that once I swore off doctors, I wasn't getting my labs tested, really looking at, okay, where do I need to make some adjustments? And so that's what I think is really powerful, is able to, take that testing, find the actual problems, so then you can find the right solutions. Because a lot of the holistic and, more natural health industry, the world, you're taking guesses a lot of the time of just like, let's try these herbs and things and see if it works.
Right.
So I think functional medicine really kind of brings the two together.
Yeah, because, and this is something that a lot of people maybe overlook a little bit, and that is like, if you change something somewhere, it does have an effect on 3 or 4 other places. So you do have to balance it. I mean, and that's why people kind of get frustrated with doctors. That's why you have to take like 5 pills. You got like this pill that counteracts this pill. Hopefully it'll do the same thing. You know what I mean? Because your body's super complex. It changes when you alter it.
Yeah. All of our organs communicate, all of our cells communicate. And I think that's one of the issues with more Western medicine or traditional doctors, is that we have specialists and they are incredibly intelligent and, amazing in a lot of situations. But a lot of those specialists don't talk to each other. They're not really looking at, okay, let's say a kidney specialist isn't really looking at all the other factors that could be impacting the kidney. They're just looking at the kidney. Now that's a generalized statement, but I think that kind of sums up that we have to look at all of the areas to make sure everything's in balance, because like you said, one imbalance causes another somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, and to your point there, I mean, I appreciate that you mentioned it was a generalization, but that's why you go, like, you have your heart specialist, you have your dietary, whatever. You go to like 5 different people to try to solve, the problems that are, if somebody was looking at it as a whole, might be able to do better. And I'm sure there's stuff out there. But I was super disingenuated with doctors just here in our home state of Utah for a while, because I was like, this is just crazy. Like, very reactive approaches to things.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I've heard that experience from a couple other people. But I have a doctor now who's pretty good. But yeah, it was like a lot of just reactive stuff. Like, well, let's just see if it, when it breaks, we'll fix it. And it's like, well, maybe can we not let it break though?
Yeah. And I know a part of the conversation now is preventative medicine, right?
Yeah.
We really want to prevent things. And I think that's awesome. And I think more and more people are starting to realize that that's important. We've got to really prevent these diseases, because we might have some treatments and things like that, but you're probably still not going to be as good off as you would be if you didn't have the disease.
Yeah, my doctor actually said that. We were joking about it before we jumped on. But he prescribed me a bike or whatever, and he was like, and then I don't know, he was just talking. I was like, all right, what kind of bike? And he's like, full suspension mountain bike. And he's like, I go, okay. And he goes, and $6,000 isn't too much for a bike. And I go, what the fuck? And he goes, well, think about it. He's like, diabetes medication is $1,800 a month. He's like, so for the price of 3 months of diabetes medicine, you can have a bike and never have diabetes. And I was like, you're a good salesman.
Yeah.
You can come work for me any day, bro.
That's awesome. I'm a fan of that doctor.
Yeah. I was like, it was cool though, because he was just like, look, here's the deal. But he mentioned something, maybe you can touch on it, but he mentioned, I can't remember what it's called, low intensity cardio, or but essentially like zone 2 heart rate. And he's like staying there for like long periods of time, and not like, because he mentioned something. So maybe you can talk about this as a whole if you want. But he just mentioned like those short bursts of cardio. He's like the guys who are like, get in shape with 10 minutes.
The HIIT workouts.
Yeah. He's like, you can do HIIT workouts if you're already in shape. Like those might work. He's like, but if you're, where I'm at, he's like, no.
Yeah.
He's like, you'd have to do that 10 minutes a day, 3 times a day for 8 days a week.
Yeah. Well, it also it's a certain level of stress that you're putting on your body too. So if things are not working optimally, that could be adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. So he was like, no, like low intensity, long cardio stuff.
Oh yeah. I talk to my clients all the time about my favorite exercise in the world is walking.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is the one that you can do anywhere at any time for any duration. Like if you don't have any time in your day to go take a 10-minute walk, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, and at that point, it's just prioritizing it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody has it. And one of my favorite stories, because I coach my son's wrestling, and I was like, dude, if I told you that I had $1 million for you at 2:30 in the morning, you'd be here at 2:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, because you know the value of $1 million, but
Mm-hmm.
the difference is like, you have to do this every day and like make those commitments because, your health is on the line. But yeah, I was talking to a coach. They were like walking 10,000 steps. He's like, you got like, I don't know if that was an arbitrary number, but I don't know.
It's
He was
a
like
great goal to shoot for.
10,000 steps. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get as close as you can. He's like, that changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting your body working.
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, but like on TikTok and things like that, hot girl walks.
No.
That started because it's like we need to get. You've never heard of hot girl?
No. Break it down. What happened?
It's a walk.
I'm on a
girls do.
very, I'm on,
Anyone can do it though.
okay.
It's not
I'm on a
for
very
women.
different side of TikTok. just so you
Okay. Okay.
know. I am on the like Theo Von like side of TikTok.
Okay.
2 bears, 1 cave. That's what I'm on.
Okay. So yeah, different sides of TikTok, but that's okay. So hot girl walks are it's a movement, I think, of let's get outside, go walking. We
Yeah.
talk about it for not only physical health, but mental health.
Yeah.
Just go on a walk, decompress your thoughts.
Yeah.
Um
My wife thinks I'm crazy because like I start, so obviously now I do bike rides,
Mhm.
but we would go on walks and I would go on walks or like running, and she loves music when she works out and I hate it. Like I don't do anything. Like if I'm going on like a 5-mile bike ride, no music, nothing.
wow.
Yeah. I don't know, because of that, right? Like it's a mental health. Like I'm not
Okay.
I'm getting away from all of it. Like I podcast every day.
Yeah.
I listen to music all day.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, a
my
lot
walk
of
is
with the
like-
hot girl walks, it's podcast time. Put in a podcast,
Could
go
be a plan.
outside,
That's cool.
get some sun, get some movement. It's like 3 birds with 1 stone.
That's so awesome. All right, so what you mentioned though, like it's kind of becoming a movement. What changed?
I think people are realizing that they feel better when they're moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exercise is important. A lot of people don't love to do it, but it's really about finding those things that you do enjoy.
Well, yeah, and I don't know what's happening right now, but there like everything is becoming like take a side kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was just watching this argument the other day. Somebody made a general health claim that was nobody would argue with, right? Which is like try to eat clean and good and exercise. Like, and that looks different for everybody, right? Like,
oh yeah.
right? Like Michael Phelps, eating good for Michael Phelps is 10,000 calories at breakfast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Right.
that's not me, you know? But and then he was like getting like attacked for it, like that. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I was like, what the freak, dude?
Yeah, people get really, really emotionally
really try to, like, yeah.
triggered by conversations about health.
Have you ever had some of that with your clients where you're like, hey, you should like, let's talk about eating healthy and exercising. And they're like, whoa. Maybe not by the time they get to you, but do you ever have those?
Yeah, I think I have more of those conversations with people that don't work with me.
That's fair. All right.
Because, they're just,
Yeah.
they're not in that place yet where they're willing to, listen to anybody else or be
Yeah.
coached or take responsibility for their health.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when people hire a health coach, they think I'm going to do everything for them, but that's definitely not the case.
Well, yeah, you can't.
You
right?
got to make all the decisions, right? But yeah, I think I've had a lot of conversations with people where they do get very triggered by some things that I say that are they should not be triggering.
Right. You could be
It's
like,
just that,
but we just-
maybe obesity is dangerous for your health or,
Sure.
excess fat storage does impact your organs, like things that
we
can prove to be true, that should have no emotional attachment to them. But I
Yeah.
think it is such a sensitive topic now.
Well, yeah, it's just it's people's identity.
Mhm,
Like I am this person, right?
mhm,
And I feel like a big part of that, and this is why I love like personally, like I love philosophy and religion, because one of the things it teaches you is to detach from those kind of things. Like you break away from certain things.
mhm.
Like you are not this, you're not this, whatever. And yeah, we don't need to talk about any of that if you don't want to. But that's kind of the one. But like, you know, like I joke about being fat and like that kind of stuff. And like when I'm in the wrestling room, I'll be like, this is the fat guy side of the room, you know? And I joke about it trying to like, one of the reasons I do it is because a lot of like high school kids, like boys, feel like weird, you know, in their body. And I'm like, that's fine, dude. That's why there's weight classes.
Yeah.
You're 215, you come over here, you hang out with me. We'll be fine. But like some people do. They like get mad at you. You can't say fat. I'm like, stop it.
Yeah, I think it is kind of like what you said. It's people develop their identities really solidly and they just like hold on to that. And I work with a lot of my clients on letting go of some of those things and creating new identities for the people that they really want to be. A lot of the work I do is honestly just mindset. You've got to choose to be healthy, and to do that, you have to say, I'm a healthy person.
Right.
So you make choices that are going to align with that. Yeah.
Kind of create that, like, whatever identity you want to be with. Yeah. I think, and I don't think COVID helped at all. I'll just bring that up.
Okay.
Okay, because here's the reason. A lot of it was like, that's when a lot of this, like, eat healthy, like exercise. And even if you get it, you know, your body can fight it off if it's healthy, right? Kind of thing. And a lot of people were just like, no. At least that's, I don't know, maybe this, because I am on the comedy side of TikTok that gets a lot of like, for some reason, if you're a comedian, you have to be like right wing or something. Okay. Which is, I don't know, which is not true. Yeah. Certainly not for me. It's like, so anyway, but I just saw a lot of that. Like, you're telling people to, you know, be healthy and that's not going to fix anything. And you're like, well, I don't know about that, right?
Yeah, like, we also have science.
Yeah. You're like, how about two things how about they're not mutually exclusive? Like we should take vaccines and do all that stuff, but also like, shouldn't we though be healthy and tell people not to be?
Right. Like, kind of coming full circle. It's all about balance. Let's be in the middle because, you know, both can be true at the same time.
Yeah. That's what I said. That's what I said. I was like, I'm not so, I don't get into all of the political side of it, but I just said that like, that was what I got in a lot of, I was like, they're not mutually exclusive. We can do both. How about how about you do that? Right. Like,
oh yeah. As a health coach, I'm teaching and preaching and I try to practice balance too. I am not one we were talking about before we were recording Gatorade.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. So Gatorade, is it my top choice of electrolytes? No. Yeah. But if I know I need electrolytes and that's in front of me, am I going to drink it? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The best and worst health advice I ever got was if the oven's hot enough, anything burns.
All right.
Now I got that from a collegiate national cross country champion. It was like, okay. And I think he was joking because we walked into his house. Yeah. We walked into his house and he was getting ready for a race or whatever. And obviously I brought up Michael Phelps, but we got in there and I couldn't believe what he was eating. I was like, dude, what are you eating? And and to his credit, he had just run like some stupid amount of miles, like 30 miles or something like that. And I was like, and he was just eating anything that he could put in his body. Yeah. And I was like, and then he was like, oh, if the oven's hot enough, anything burns, bro. And I was like, that's great. I'm gonna use that. Stealing it. Yeah, anyway, it was funny though.
That is funny. I've actually met a lot of athletes who struggle after, you know, they come out of athletics or things like that with nutrition because they can't just eat whatever's in front of them anymore because they aren't burning that many calories and their metabolism changes. And a lot of the times, even when athletes are training, we talked about this earlier, like the macro counting and things like that. That's their focus. They're not worried about nutrients and the quality of their food. And that catches up sometimes.
Oh, totally. It happened to me for sure. I was like, oh my gosh. Because I was big and in high school and early college, like I didn't do any like supplemental protein. Like I wasn't a protein shake guy because, and this was always my view of protein, was like, just eat. Like, I don't know. My friends were like, you don't need a protein shake. I was like, bro, like, first of all, I'm Polynesian. I was like, bro, I had like steak and eggs for breakfast this morning. I don't need.
Yeah. You're like, my protein is good.
Yeah. I was like, I don't need a protein shake. Yeah. And then I'm going to eat like, and my wife was disgusted, but I was like, I would eat steak and eggs for breakfast, or like Spam and eggs for breakfast. And then we'll have like, you know, more meat. And then dinner was more meat. I don't think I had a meatless meal until I was like 22. And it was like, I just, you know. So I was like, just eat. Like, that's how you get your protein. Like, eat,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, some people can do it that way. And
Yeah,
that's
that's
great.
fair. That's fair.
Right.
Yeah. My wife can't. She's like, I gotta like, because she was like trying to hit a protein goal for a weight. You know, a coach she was working with like a weightlifting coach or something. She's like, you got to hit all this protein. She's like, I cannot eat this much food.
Yeah,
She's
it
like,
can be difficult.
I got to get it some other way. And I was like, all right, fine.
Yeah, I think you touched on something too of just the difference between you and your wife.
Yeah.
I think that's important. Your wife shouldn't be eating the same way that you're eating. Her body has way different needs, and then vice versa. I think people forget about that too. They find one person or, you know, one type of philosophy and they really just like hook onto it, and it might not be the best thing for them specifically.
Right.
So one thing that comes to mind for me in like the health and wellness world, intermittent fasting.
Dude, we're on the same wavelength.
You're
I was
already
just
thinking
about
about
to
that?
ask you.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask you about intermittent fasting because you mentioned before the podcast like under eating. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So a lot of the research done on intermittent fasting, and I'm sure there's new research coming out, but the early research was done only on men. A lot of research is mostly done on men, just because in the health world, because their hormones are stable. You know, they have a 24-hour cycle, whereas women in different phases of their cycle and things like that, there's a lot of variance. So it's hard to control studies and research. So with intermittent fasting, it's primarily done on men. And there was some great data that came out of those early studies. And so I, as a coach, I do think for men, it's a useful tool. I think for women, it's less beneficial for most women, I should say, because our hormones are changing a lot of the time, and we do need a lot more calories at certain times of our cycle and things like that. And women's bodies tend to not respond to fasting as well. I do think that some occasional intentional fasting could be really beneficial, especially to give the digestive system a break and things like that. But going long periods without eating for women, I've just seen really negative effects.
It doesn't work a lot.
Yeah, it's not great from a hormone standpoint. So I don't typically recommend that, and the providers I work with typically don't either. So a common thing I hear with a lot of the women that I work with, you know, they kind of intermittent fast a little bit, which means they just kind of starve themselves for part of the day, which is really not the same thing either.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, like I do intermittent fasting occasionally. I actually do it like in sprints. So like I'll do like, this week I'm going to intermittent fast. Next week I'm not.
Yeah.
Like this week I will. Or like sometimes, I don't know. I also just kind of take a break. Like sometimes I just don't eat. Like I've gone like 2-3 days without eating.
Yeah.
Just like water stuff. I don't know. It kind of helps me. It just, I don't know. It's just, I don't have any kind of routine to it.
Right.
It's like, oh, this week I'm going to do it. Next week I'm not. This week I'm going to fast for 2 days. Next week I'm going to intermittent or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But I definitely can understand that there are like definitely benefits to, instead of fasting, like eating healthy there's a lot of different things. And you kind of just got to, I don't know. Work with a coach, figure it out.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is there's so much information out there. It's really hard to sift through all of it. And so there is an amount of like experimentation that you kind of have to do on yourself. And I've done that on myself a lot. I've tried different health trends and all these things to see.
How long do you try a trend before you write it off, or you either write it off or you think that it's worth something?
Oh, it depends. Depends on how hard it is to stick to.
What was the hardest one you did?
Probably, I mean, I did an elimination diet at one point, which is where you cut out a lot of different things to determine any like food sensitivities and things like that.
Yeah.
And that was really difficult for me because I was already kind of set in like, these are the things that I'm eating. Like my breakfast was kind of the same most mornings. And these are the carbs that I stick to. I don't eat gluten. So I'm like, okay, I do rice, potatoes, like certain grains and things. And so it was really hard to suddenly change up everything that I'm eating. And it was hard. But it was the best experience because that's now what most of my clients are doing. If the providers that I work with recommend like an elimination diet, I guide them through that and help them. And it always brings me back to that experience that I had. I'm like, okay, what did I struggle with? And, what were the hard parts for me? And how can I make this easier? And those types of things. So the elimination diet where I had to get rid of most carbs, most grains, that was hard.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. There's a lot of debate because you mentioned this and then just now and stuff about like what foods are good for you, what foods are not good for you, right? And there's always the debate of rice for me, like white rice versus brown rice. Is brown rice good for you? Because I've heard it both ways. I've heard it's not good for you.
What have you heard?
I've heard it's not good for you because of like some of like the shell or whatever.
Okay.
And also, I'll just make this one point. Asians have been taking the shell off brown rice for thousands of years. Right? That side of the world has been eating white rice forever. And they're some of the most, I mean, I don't know. I've never been to Asia, but from what I've seen is like a pretty healthy part of the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Same with like India.
Right.
Right? Like the original vegetarians.
Right.
Right? Don't eat brown rice and have them forever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's the only time when I hear somebody say like white rice is terrible for you. I'm like, now listen.
Well, it's not terrible for you, but like we were talking about earlier, simple versus complex carbs. Brown rice has more fiber. White rice is really quickly broken down. So if you're having it in a balanced meal, then I don't see.
That might be the thing, right?
Yeah. It's
like,
really just how you're eating it. But that's getting really nitty gritty.
That's fair. That's fair. Maybe you got to figure out how to eat. I don't know. I ate rice growing up. That's one of my chores in my house was making a pot of rice.
I hate making rice.
How do you make it?
Thank God with it. An Instant Pot.
Oh, why we have a rice cooker.
Or a rice cooker.
Yeah, well, you just Wait. How do you make rice though? Do you know the secret to making rice?
No.
Do you know the finger trick?
No.
Dude, if I had a TV, I would show you Joe Coy's thing right now, but I'll tell you how to make rice.
Is it like the amount of water or something?
Yeah. So I'll tell you how to make rice. You don't need any measuring cups.
Okay.
To do rice. If you have a rice pot or a pot, right?
Uh-huh.
So you can put however much rice in there. You just my mom had like an old can that would cut you if you messed up. So you just dump the rice into the pot as much as you want and then fill it up with water. And when you touch the top of the rice, the water comes to that first line. That's the perfect amount of water. You don't need any more. You just pour the rice in, pour the water in, do the finger trick, close it, turn it on. That's how you do it.
Gonna have to try that.
Yeah, everybody's like 1 cup for 2 or like
measure it.
No. You don't need to measure. Rice is actually the easiest thing to make. All you need is a pot, water, and rice, and that line. And as Joe Coy would say, that line right there.
Okay. The more you know, I guess.
Yeah, that's just how you. I don't know. I actually didn't know that you measured right. When I married my wife, she like started like, "Where's my measuring cup?" And I'm like, "What do you do?" I asked you to make rice. Like we're making rice. Like you don't need a measuring cup. She's like, "No, here's the recipe here." And I'm like, "No." And so
you just eyeball it.
And then she goes, if you mess this up, I'm gonna be pissed. And it obviously came out perfect because that's how you do it. So you make rice. So, yeah, it's wild. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you're looking at the fiber, I guess brown rice, does have more fiber, but it tastes so gross.
I mean,
that's the other thing.
Does it?
Eating healthy has to be kind of like fun, right? You gotta like make it sexy a little bit. Well, that was my whole problem with eating.
The thing is you don't need to make it boring.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
There's a learning curve though.
Yeah.
Because if you're used to making all of these different foods that, have not healthy ingredients, you've just got to find ways to make those same things that you like in a healthy way.
All right.
Because so many people, that's why a lot of people will go and do, the chicken, rice, and broccoli, right? And they just get so bored with that they go then and binge and grab fast food or, eat a whole pint of ice cream. And it's like, no, that's not sustainable because you're really not interested in your food. You're not enjoying it. And I think food should be pleasurable. Yeah,
it should be a good experience.
Yeah. You shouldn't hate having to eat.
Because I knew a guy who it was strictly business when he ate. He didn't care. He didn't care what it was. He wanted it, you know, he made healthy meals, and I tried it one time. I was like, bro, this is gross. I was
could
like,
never.
I was like, what are you doing? And it was like, that's what he said. He's like, food is business. He's like, it's only there. I'm like, we can't be friends, dog.
I mean,
Like, if you're not going to Mobetta's and ordering a Colu with me, I don't know if we can do this, dude. Just
like
kidding.
like we talked about, can't we meet in the middle?
Sure.
Can it be, you know,
Yeah,
healthy,
what are you?
but also taste good?
Yeah, and like look good. Like
And look
some of the
good.
stuff is like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
What are some of your tips that you give when you're starting to eat healthy? What are some tips that you give to like make it a good experience?
Yeah. I would say find your staples first. Find the things that you like to eat that are healthy. You know, really experiment with a few different things to see, oh, this is a meal that I like and I don't really get sick of. Because then once you have that, you can fall back on that anytime you can't find anything else you want to eat.
Yeah, like rotate through some of like basic ones that you know. Some of the go-to recipes.
Yeah.
What are some of like just example recipes that you like to go to?
They change depending on the season,
That's fair.
honestly.
Do you like chicken?
Lately it's like summer now, so I've been doing a lot of different salads, and you can get creative with salads.
That's
it doesn't
fair.
have to be
Yeah,
boring.
that's fair. That's
And,
salads
I
are
add
easy.
protein. I add some interesting things. Sometimes I'll eat like extra carbs or something on the side too.
Mhm.
I think it's a lot of women that I talk to, you know, they'll just eat a salad, which is like, you know, 100 calories, and it's like that's not enough nutrients.
Yeah, you need like substance. man.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah, so like
sustenance.
really bulking up a salad is what I've been doing lately.
Oh, that's cool.
Um
What's your favorite proteins to eat
ooh.
when you're healthy? Because my favorite's red meat, but obviously that's the wrong answer.
Why is it wrong?
Well, is it though? Because that's what I've heard. Like I love steak, specifically medium rare.
Okay. Well, maybe steak every day.
Sure.
Is-
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. But what's wrong with steak?
Yeah, we usually don't do any like Roost Crisp. We brought that up.
Yeah.
Good steak, dude. You don't need any
Yeah.
extra with that. They cook it in butter though, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Lots,
good,
lots
though.
of butter for sure.
That's good though. Don't knock. Hey, I had an experience where this guy this is wild to me. Did you know that raw milk is illegal?
Yeah.
Do you watch Schitt's Creek? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that episode?
Yeah.
I tried to smuggle raw milk.
Yeah.
That was actually my favorite episode. All right.
I am interested in the fact that it is illegal because you still can get it a lot of places.
Well, you can get it a lot of places. And I met a guy who was like, he switched from, and I wish I did this with my daughter too,
Mhm.
but like raw organic whole milk or like raw organic milk is not the same as what you get in the store. And I
No.
found that out the hard way with my daughter. So like at 1 year old, I'll tell you the story. At 1 year old, they were like, you can give your daughter whole milk, right? You can give your baby whole milk. So we were like,
Mhm.
this is our first kid. We are like, all right, cool. We'll
Mhm.
do milk because it's affordable, whatever.
Mhm.
And she started like, I don't want to be like insensitive about this, but this is actually what happened. She started growing like breasts.
Hmm.
Like they started like a normal 1 year old doesn't do that.
Mhm.
Like you're not
Yeah.
protruding or whatever, right?
Right.
And I was like, dude, the only thing that's changed was like we put her on this whole milk. And as soon as I took her off, like it was almost a week later, everything had gone back to normal. She was on like normal
Yeah.
breast milk, normal like whatever. And everything was gone. And I was like, and I didn't buy I didn't buy store-bought milk or like cow's milk. I didn't buy cow's milk for like, my daughter's 7 now. So like probably we started buying it again for some recipes, but like now we only do organic. Like, yeah, I didn't buy it for
Oh
like
my
6.5
goodness.
years.
Yeah.
I didn't give anybody.
My brain goes with that story is that there could have been hormones
In the milk.
in that milk,
Yeah.
which is common.
Yeah.
Because we're, you know, with the way farming is now, they are pumping them with antibiotics and hormones and all these things. And it just ends up in the milk,
So
which
when
we
we-
then consume.
Yeah. So when we switched, so then I switched to, because you can't give your baby almond milk.
Right, right.
So we switched to raw organic whole cow's milk,
Mhm.
like from like, not from the store, but like raw organic milk.
Mhm.
And dude, completely changed. Everything was
Yeah.
so different.
Yeah. A lot of people who are sensitive to milk and dairy products are totally fine with raw milk. And that's because it's not pasteurized.
Yeah.
And
Like just,
the pasteurization kills the enzymes that
Yeah.
your body needs to break it down.
yeah, I saw a guy, he was like, I lost weight getting the right fats into my diet, like
Yeah.
the good fats into my diet. I was like, oh my gosh. Cause then, you know, there were two things. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 29. There were two things. How old are you?
I'm 25.
25? Okay, cool. So there were two things when we were growing up that were totally terrible for society. That was the DARE program and the food pyramid. That was the catastrophic failures
Yeah.
on everybody's part.
I thought about that a few months ago. That
Like, the
I was
food
like the
pyramid
DARE
was-
program.
Yeah.
Wow, that
DARE
did
program was-
not work.
At all. It was horrible. It was like scare people out,
Yeah.
like war on drugs, scare people, and you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It like made the problem worse.
I can't even remember, what does DARE even stand for?
I don't know.
They did such a poor job.
It was it was awful. It was and it didn't do any like it was just like it's like the scared straight stuff, and like that doesn't like you don't need, I mean, I don't know if they've done any studies. If they have, I haven't read any, but like common sense tells me and my gut tells me it doesn't work. Like, and my
Right.
experience as a parent tells me it doesn't work.
Oh yeah.
But DARE, drug abuse resistance education. That's stupid as shit.
Yeah, I feel like I've never heard that in my whole life.
Good Gandhi. Did you go through it? Did you have any of the DARE programs? Did you ever go through those?
Yeah, I did, but
Okay.
apparently I learned nothing.
Well, no, yeah. You did. You just like, they're like, weed is a gateway drug.
I did learn
And-
about the food pyramid though.
The food pyramid.
I
okay.
remember there was bread at the bottom.
Yeah,
and
it
I
was
was
like
like,
foundational.
I'm gonna eat lots
Yeah,
of
it was
bread.
and it was, remember, it was like, that's when the 2,000 calorie a day diet came out. And it was like, this is so much carbs it's going to be. And then at the top was something crazy. What was at the top?
It was like sugar.
Was it like that was the least you should eat or whatever?
Yeah.
What got meat was like, I think the second to the bottom or something
Yeah.
like that. I can't remember. I don't know. But
And
yeah.
then they added dairy in there. And I think dairy is still in the My Plate. I think that's what they're doing now.
It's all horse shit now.
I know.
Well, it just
Which is
doesn't like, yeah, it
interesting.
just doesn't, I don't know what you're saying. Because then I saw the food pyramid. I just saw this the other day on TikTok, by the way. But because then they showed you the food pyramid. And then do you remember what school lunches were? It's like that.
Oh my gosh.
That bomb
Yeah.
sausage pizza from the lunch lady, dude. Slip me an extra piece, dog, please. That wasn't on the food pyramid. Get the hell out of here, dude.
Wow, we really were all eating the same thing.
That 100%.
That's
100%. Did you remember that? You remember the pizza?
Yeah.
Like the pan pizza or whatever?
Yeah.
Dude? That's what's up. Well, in our defense, I don't know where you grew up in Georgia. You said outside somewhere, but I grew up in a really poor town in Iowa, dude.
Okay.
We did like 70% of our kids were on food stamps, like 70 to 90% were on like free reduced lunches. So like, yeah, we just ate whatever they had there. And yeah, clearly
Yeah.
was wild. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, teaching us one thing.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of progress that needs to happen
They
with
still
the food.
They still
in
make that.
schools.
I remember actually going to my daughter's. They had a daddy-daughter day or whatever at my daughter's school, and they had that pizza. Brought me back, dude. They still make
do
it.
it.
I'm sure it's the same ingredients. It might even be the exact same from like the 90s.
Wow.
Like they might not have even gotten a different bag, dude. Like
They found their staples like we talked about.
I was like, this is. My daughter was like, "This is gross."
They're like,
I
oh,
was
the
like-
kids are unhappy. We'll give them this pizza.
Yeah. I was like, I hand it over, sweetheart. Yeah. No, that's so funny because yeah, those like the food pyramid was crazy. Like, do you, you just it just doesn't make any sense.
I
like
think that
you
was
probably
the
don't
only
have any. Yeah,
nutritional education we got too.
probably why like you mentioned before, like nobody taught us this. Like
No.
because they taught you the complete opposite. They were like,
Yeah.
like, no, you should actually eat as 50% of your diet should be bread.
Right.
And you're like, that's weird, dude. Is that right?
But you know, I mean, health and a lot of the research is just now coming out with a lot of these different foods and carbs and everything. And so it's such
Yeah.
a work in progress. I don't think people realize that
Yeah.
a lot of this research is still so new.
Right.
And like it doesn't end up in the education system for years on end.
Yeah.
Same thing with doctors, and that's why they aren't even familiar with a lot of the new research either. I think the
Yeah.
statistic is like what for new information to get into like medical school, it takes like 17 years or
Yeah, because
something.
they really have to like they've
Yeah.
got to know it.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with business. So I went to business school, and like digital marketing, for example, like that, you would be so surprised taking a master's level digital marketing class, like how I'm like, dude, I looked at my professor when I was taking, I was like, dog, this is not work. I don't know. You need to update your curriculum, dude.
Yeah.
Because like we actually tried this yesterday and my client got pissed at me because we spent like $2,000. We wasted it, right?
Oh no.
Like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do that, but because this is like, obviously this doesn't work, right? And like social media, I always laugh at like college level social media marketing classes because I'm like, dude, good luck, bro.
Yeah.
If this is what you're sticking with, it's not going to be the same in a year. When these guys graduate, it's going to be totally different.
Yeah. No, that's another industry that's growing or just changing so fast.
Yeah,
no one
education
can
needs,
keep up.
well, and education just needs a huge disruption. I actually made a post on this I made a post on LinkedIn about this, which is just like the future of education is just, I think the future of education is just freelancing. Like and just learning and like, you know, it's kind of like networking. It's a mix of like networking and like experience and like mentors and like finding. I think what's crazy is we kind of go full circle because like, you know, not anytime when I was alive or anything, but you read in like the 1800s, early 1900s, mid 1900s, you have like the son did what the dad did. Like they had a vertical, like we are farmers, like we are factory, you know,
Right.
we do these things and we know these things and that's what we do. And then education came out and you're like, I don't have to be a factory worker, right? Like I can go learn something different. And that's a beautiful thing. Right. And so then we like get into these very rigid like degrees. And now we're kind of coming full circle, which is like, wow, you should just pick a mentor. I really want to learn that. Go down that road.
Right.
And then, you know what I mean? And just know that there's other things out there, but try a bunch of different things. I told my cousin, I was like, dude, he's like, I don't want to know what I want to study in school. I was like, well, then don't go.
Yeah.
Go on to like Udemy or YouTube and type in like whatever you want to learn about, learn the basics and then figure out, you know, yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. And the people that are self-driven to be able to do that, like do it.
That is, yeah, that's what I get pushback on. It's like, well, not everybody's meant to be freelancers. I'm like, I know, dude. Obviously I don't have the right answer. Obviously it's not perfect.
Right.
But like, damn, dude. But like federally subsidized student loans is also not the answer.
Right. Exactly.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I could go on a rant about that, but anyway, but it's good though. But like one of the things you should go to school for is like health. You know, you really can't be guessing on that, which is really cool.
True. Yeah.
Which is why I mentioned at the beginning, like that's pretty much the only coaches I bring on because they have something. They have some kind of education. They're not just like, this worked for me one time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
See that a lot in like the coaching industry. And
yeah. And you know what? Like write a book. Like it helped you. Write a book. Find your tribe. Go with your tribe. But you know, just thinking that is the answer is, I just think it's super dangerous. Like people
and
just
thinking that that's the answer for everyone too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I even kind of feel I experienced that a little bit too when I first started coaching before I had more experience, because I, you know, would talk to my clients about all these different things, but I was not aware of all of the individual differences that there could be and can, or that I guess exist. And so it was really through working with, I briefly worked in a naturopathic clinic. I was just like an office manager there, but I had a lot of time to talk to the doctor.
Yeah, you're kind of like rubbing shoulders with one another.
Like learn about all these different things. And then even now I'm in a network with other coaches and other providers, so nurse practitioners and MDs, and I learned so much from them just to make sure that, you know, what my clients are going through and what their goals are, you know, are safe, and you know, it makes sense for them. Because I think a lot of coaches, you know, just think that the way that they did it is going to be appropriate for everyone.
Well, you brought up you do labs. Like you actually, so what does that mean? Walk me through that.
Yeah.
Like draw blood or?
Yeah. So with the network that I work with.
Yeah, you mentioned that a few times. You work with actual doctors. So you work, your client comes to you and you work with different doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So
I've never heard of that before. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a very new concept. And I feel super lucky to be a part of it
Mhm.
because having that provider kind of foundation is so important for me to do my job.
Mhm.
I would never want to coach not having these resources anymore.
Yeah, I feel like that's a great way to do it. I wonder why more people don't. Like, you work with doctors.
Red tape. It's hard. It's
Is it hard?
to
I bet the legality is.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
probably right.
But I mostly work with a nurse practitioner. She's based in Arizona, but she's able to order labs for my clients. And then she evaluates the lab work and creates a treatment plan, typically with some supplement recommendations, dietary recommendations, things like that.
And then you take that and add to it.
And then, yeah, I help
whatever.
them implement it.
Okay.
It's like kind of troubleshooting, like the diet, taking the supplements, how they feel,
And then do you work with the doctor? Like, hey, I'm talking to the client, and the client, I don't know if we're working on this.
Yeah, if there's anything that comes up specifically, I talk to our provider and be like, hey, do we need to adjust this? Do we need to, increase this? What do you think, if they're experiencing the symptoms?
And is that just because like nobody wants to go to the doctor every week? So they're like,
it's too expensive.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Do you
Co-pays
think you could afford going to your doctor every week?
Yeah, no, that'd be nuts.
I mean, I guess
if you have good insurance
and stuff,
but still.
But also the doctor is still not educated on the nutrition side, on even the psychological side of it, the mindset work, really helping your client create that lifestyle change.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Because actually, I made a joke earlier, but actually the best health advice I feel like I ever got was like diets die.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's not like I had somebody tell me like, don't go on a diet. Like, it's never going to work. Like you need to like actually change. And like, yeah, she said, make a lifestyle change. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, that works.
And that's way easier said than done.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. We were at wrestling practice this morning. Coach kept saying, he's like, it's simple, not easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's simple, not easy, right?
Yeah, pretty much everything that I do as a coach, right? It's simple. Yeah. But it's not easy.
Yeah, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
I tell my wrestler, my son that especially. I'm like, you're gonna get hurt. This is not gonna be fun. Are you still want to do it? He's like, yep. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's true. That's true. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. Thanks for being here. Before I let you go, tell everybody where they can find you, your website, how they get a hold of you, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I'm just RachelClaire.HHC on Instagram. That's where I do most of my posting. I also have a Facebook page under that name. And then my website is RachelClaireHHC.com.
Cool.
Really simple.
We'll keep that on the notes, but thank you so much.
Yeah. This was great. Thanks for having me.
Sure.